Okay, we're back inside. Um, this is just my shop man cave. It's pretty tore up right now. I've been going under transition of getting my health better, so I need to work more. So I'm going to kind of start moving stuff out of here that is not work related, things like that. We'll change stuff up. What you're looking at here is kind of my setup of a poor man's battery bank. And I'm using 27 series deep cycle RV batteries, marine and RV. The reason I'm using them is because they're cheap and I'm on a low budget. This is a 5,000 watt continuous, 10,000 peak, 12 volt to 120 AC inverter. Excuse me, converter, I guess you could call it, whatever. But I've been using this for quite a while. I had a smaller one on here, but I went to a bigger bank and it couldn't handle it, so I had to go to this. Which, I mean, I knew. You got to follow the rules on it and stuff. And you can see I use a power strip. The power strip here, this one is rated at 20 amps. Normally you'll find them they're 15. Even if they say they're heavy duty, they still say 15. But what you do is you run your wattage and you make sure you kind of add up everything. Like I've got my flat screen TV in here. Check the watts on that. There's an Xbox that I'm not running anymore. I mean, occasionally I'll use it, but not for playing games. Mainly for just throwing a DVD in or something like that. It's an old 360. I got some other stuff here. I've got my very old Sharp MIDI stereo, because who doesn't need one of those? But that's actually what I run my sound off of. And I know I'm going to switch that up, and I'm going to find something that requires less watts per channel. But I got my speakers mounted up high. I got good sound in here. I like that. But I got to find something that'll give me that good stereo sound that I still like. This is an extra heavy duty. This is actually a 25 amp power strip, and it runs off one of the circuits over there, and it tells you that it's 5,000 watts max, but you need to be watching how many watts per outlet you can run. I'm not that concerned with that. I've not gotten that high on anything like that. What's cool though is when I put it in, and I just added some more batteries, and I test these batteries frequently. I get down in there and I put a battery load on them to test them to make sure they're still good. If you find a weak one, you better start checking around and make sure your stuff's wired up right, because one weak battery will ruin the entire bank. I actually hooked that. That is I believe that's a 10,000 BTU. Little 110 air conditioner, and just messing around, I had the battery bank charged and I plugged it in. I ran it on low cool, and it actually ran for 40 minutes off this battery bank before that inverter said, I don't like that. Now, this is the rest of the stuff that I got with the PMG. I had this, I installed this for a while. Like I say, when you're on a budget, you kind of got to buy stuff as it goes. This is a hybrid wind solar 12 volt setup from Missouri Wind and Solar. God bless them, they're great people, and I'll tell you about that in a little bit. But I had this set up, been wanting to use it, and I didn't have the wind turbine set up, and I just wasn't feeling good enough to do that. So I finally getting off my butt and getting back to work and doing stuff. And I am a redneck, if you want to call it that, or a shade tree, or use what you got kind of stuff. But there's what I actually started with, and that's a little tiny 4-panel 100 watt system that I got off a friend of mine. Thank you, Chad. Just to kind of get started, and I think I started with 2 batteries, just messing around with it. And I still leave it hooked up. It's actually not set on the roof right where it would get the best sunlight, but at the time we were just actually, tinkering is what I was doing. And you're going to look at my wiring, and I know somebody's going to go, ew, and I get that. It's not a problem. This is all still set up as if I can move this, or I'm not ready to call this a day, stuff like that. As you can see back in here, that used to be a kind of a hidden shelving in there. I used to have this set up, and this is where I did all my man cave cooking for outdoors and stuff, getting stuff ready. So that's actually going to get re-insulated and paneled back over. But there's basically just a hole in the wall. I've got a grommet, silicone-based grommet that'll go in there that will fit around that cord, but not tightly in case there's any binding with the tower. Of course, there's my rectifier. You have to understand that what I got was a Freedom 1. It is a 16, that wind turbine is a 1600 watt max, and it is AC. So it allows you to take, like what I've got here, this heavy duty outdoor extension cord, and use it to run in. And it is, all three legs are hot. It's three phase. All three legs are hot underneath there. Don't mind those long screws. I had to use a little bit of creativity to get everything connected, because I get in a mood and I want to get it done. And of course, I'm here in the middle of nowhere in Kansas, and it's a 40-minute drive pretty much after 8 p.m. to get anything you need. So I had to use what I had, and I had some old corner brackets. They were brand new, laying in a pan for I don't know how long. And so I just bent them, and I made that rectifier stand out away from this board I just screwed up to kind of mount everything, so that it has plenty of airflow around it for now. This is also screwed to that same board. It's what I had at the time. It's what I'm using. And just in case things get a little warm, this is your load bank. It's your kickover bank. If you produce too much juice, all this really does is has a solenoid that'll stop charging your batteries. But because things are always going to produce, even the solar panels and that wind turbine, it's got to do something with that energy, that electrical energy. So all this really does is convert electrical energy into heat energy through this load bank. Okay, it dissipates that energy through heat. But what's nice to think about is this right here. I got just a cheap old $12.99 12 volt automotive fan clamp on that is hooked into the battery bank. And like I say, the wires are hanging. I'm still, like I say, I'm a work in progress. I'm still working on it. But this is designed to, if I need to, I can kick this on. It is not automatically wired in. As you can see, I just put a bracket. I clamped it into place. I mounted the 12 volt switch, so you've got on and off. And then, of course, this will oscillate if I need to. If it happens to get too warm in the shop, I can set it up so it'll oscillate back and forth from that load bank across my battery bank. But I have got some other ideas, and I've got a friend of mine who happens to have some pretty good size low amperage 12 volt fans. They're flat fans, and I will probably eventually build this box up and get it set to where it is cooled direct flow across the battery bank inside. We'll, like I say, work in progress. We'll keep working on it. I got a hold of Missouri Wind and Solar today about that tower. Saw the pictures in there, and exactly what I thought, but I was hoping I was wrong. So what we're looking at, when we talked about the wind, was, okay, you guys probably have seen enough of that, but let me flip this around here. Now, you got to understand, I'm still old school, so we're going to have to figure out how we flip this. You know what? Tell you what, I'll be right back. I'm going to put this on pause and figure out what I got to do here.